Word on the street. FisMaz Show. What's the word on the street? Like who got the beats that be killing the game? Who's up on the screen? Who playing who? What's the score on the sheet? Fiso the Prince got him taking the seat. Got the legends giving us the 411. FisMaz from the 031. No hating sports and entertainment when we got it on and we the only ones. And after all that action, never how we dripping high fashion. Drippy on some rich municipal stylists, soak up with passion. If it's giving us less, then we never settle. Make sure you pull up and bring all your medals. Sit back and relax, let's go. It's FisMaz bringing you the FisMaz Show. It's the FisMaz Show. It's the FisMaz Show. It's the FisMaz Show. It's the FisMaz Show.
Stop playing with my name. I ain't gonna say it no more. I just come to let y'all know, put some respect on my name. You understand me? Y'all finished or y'all done? I ain't got no more talking. Let's rock.
Please hang up and try again.
Hello everyone, I'm excited for today's episode because, well, we've been telling different, cricket war stories, but today is going to be a war story of a different kind. We're going to be talking with two guys who come from the same parts of the country, two guys who tore it up as young men and who eventually played for South Africa, and two men who, have different stories with regards to their careers, but they've also got two very iconic moments that I really love to hear them speaking about. But I thought, you know what, let me get them on board and let them share those stories with all of you at home, because maybe some of you haven't heard, the background with regards to those. And you may be asking yourselves, who are these two gentlemen I have today? Well, I'll give you some clues. The one was a very snappy, quick bowler called Gas. The other one, well, he ran all day. He was the lifebeat of the team. He made a lot of noise on the field and one of the great personalities of world cricket. I hope you guys can guess. But you know what? Let me bring them in. Let me bring them in and not make you wait too long. Well, there they are. It's Makhaya Ntini as well as Monde Zondeki. Makhaya's reading his books. He's doing whatever. Gentlemen, how are you? Makhaya Ntini. I think you're still on mute there, Makhaya. So I think I need you to unmute yourself. Technology, Mackie, come on.
Hi, Bifumeno Yamon. It's all of
Look, Mackie, I think you knew that we're going back in history. I see you bringing out SA Sports Illustrated and SA Cricket Magazine from 2002.
You remember this, guy. You remember this.
All right.
Hey, there's another one here, but what you
Come on. Hold on.
Another books.
How many?
I've
never made the cover.
That was a cover when I won.
Oh, man.
I never made the cover.
The morning one, then I'm going killers on and daddy. Hey, who's on? Hey, where's Tom?
No. Even when I was going, I'm pretty report to pick up Grand Color, I was a new star. Then one fact, even when I broke records to pick up one fact, so I was called up. But I was called up. And then
It's fine.
It's Thomas. You get that one of the action in I'm like, man. Imagine Uzon was bowling like this in India. Then we would have won the tournament.
Hey, where did you see action, young man?
I've got it here. I've got it in this book, but I'm trying to find that which book that has that picture of yours.
Yeah, you must send me a photo later. You must send me a photo later after
I'll send you a photo later. And I said, man, you could have won the tournament. You guys could have fought like that.
Only time will tell.
No, gentlemen. I'm loving the energy already, with regards to what we have in prospect today, because I wanna take you all back, to a time when you were younger. A lot of people will obviously know that you're both from the Eastern Cape, but Monde, when did you first meet Makhaya Ntini? Where do you both come from? Take me through, those early and formative years.
All right. Okay. So I always tell the story, right? When I was in Dell Junior, which was in the early 90s. So I was in Dell Junior, right, from 1990. So we can go back even further than that, but I can tell from when I met Makhaya. So like in 1991, I arrived at Dell in King Williamstown. But obviously hadn't met Makhaya because we didn't go to junior school together. But I do remember in 1995, my hostel and my school, the junior school, was across the road from Presby. Presby is where Makhaya went, was a hostel. And literally about 500 meters across the road from where we are, as a school and as a hostel, that's where he lived. So I'd always heard about this guy called Makhaya Ntini in the papers, like from 1994 or something. You read about him. And as a cricket player at that time, because I was actually really fast by the time I turned 13, 95, we were so interested and we were excited about seeing our first black cricket player who was playing for Border already. So he was playing for Border already at like 18, 17, 18, the men's side, not just the. So we were excited to not only just to hear about him as a cricket player, which was like, cool, Makhaya Ntini. So we used to walk, it's going to be a long story, sorry. So I used to walk, man. Our first hour in the 13, 18, our fields were actually further than the first team cricket fields. So every time we went to practice as a 13, 18 team, we used to have to go past the men's, the first team, fields and walk back. So every time we walked back, they were practicing. So we used to sit there as young kids, literally. Makhaya doesn't know the story. So when we were kids, we used to like on the way back to practice, we used to sit by the stands and watch, and like we were like waiting Makhaya up because we used to hear about this dude who was really quick. As a fast bowler, as young kids, we're just excited to see a black guy play. So we used to watch him play in '95 and bowl at practice, and we used to go back to hostel excited and like, oh shit, that was really quick and excited about it. But I only met him the next year in high school when I got to Dale College, which is the same school we went to. But yeah, he doesn't know that we used to like sit and watch and like be like in awe of how fast he used to bowl when we were kids. But we had heard about him from a long time ago. But I met him in 1996 officially. But he was also like, as like a sort of a matric, so he wouldn't have remembered me then.
Makhaya, I know you're hearing this story probably for the first time. How does it feel to hear that Zons, I guess, he looked up to you? You were his hero, Makhaya. Eh?
Some other stories have never been told until days like this. It's actually amazing, hearing what Zon's saying, because I remember when they came into the hostel as well, him, what you call Malubongo Maketa, and then actually I took them into my dorm, and then I said, all of the black guys that they just arrived must come into my dorm, and then I'm going to look after them. So I became one of those big boys or big brother to them, making sure that no one touches them, and then anything that happens to them, they will run to me and tell me that, listen, this guy is trying to bull me, or this guy trying to, take my lunch, or whatever the case may be. So I used to protect them, so it was, one of those kind of things as a hostel guy who was there before them. So you needed to make sure that all the sporty young fellows, they don't get bullied, and I remember one day, even I think I was the one who lost the shorts. And then I asked them, anyone has taken my shorts here? Nobody say a word. And then one guy came and said, no, I know who took your shorts. And then they pointed out to one guy, but he was already on the ground, and then I walk all the way from the hostel to the actual ground. And then, man, after that, the respect that I received, because I didn't wait for the teacher or anything. I walked straight to the field, and then I started mooring this guy.
No, Makhaya is lying because he was the bully at school. Like I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the story. That Makhaya,
in high school,
Makhaya used to play the older kids even.
Yeah, no. He was the bully in high school. So, yeah, so cool.
But
he was the one running around chasing him a tree.
That was correct, because I used to have Mandop Kiri with me. So So that's why the guys in my dorm, actually the high school boys, are talking about the metrics. They never actually get to bully all of those guys that they were in my dorm. So that was a true save on.
I want to hear from Monde's perspective because, again, I've heard the story very differently. Makhaya saying that, he used to do this and that. He used to look after you guys. I heard that Makhaya used to bully the prefects, the matrix when he was. And I mean, you don't hear that often at boys' schools that guys
Yeah, he was the
grade
bully.
are sorting out all the guys. Monde, take me through that story.
So it's funny because like at school, when we were still in primary school, we used to hear rumors. Like you always hear things about high school, about who's the tough guy, who beats who. Like I don't know how they got to primary school, the rumors of the stories, but we got them anyway. So we used to hear about Makhaya, and it's funny. There's a guy called Michael Burgess. I think Makhaya's, you remember him. He played first team rugby.
Yeah,
was a
no
fool.
Burgess. Yeah.
So they were two of them. So the hostel Presby, right, was the most notorious hostel out of all the hostels at school. Like it was the one hostel to avoid. That was the one across the road from our school. So when we used to walk back from school, from cricket fields, we used to walk across the road away from it. Like we didn't want to see those guys. Like we were scared of them because we heard the reputation. That's in general. It was a bad reputation. And I think I think you're talking about Utumisa, because Utumisa and Mabonga both went to Presby. I went to college outside the hostel.
Yeah.
So Utumisa, you know Utumisa special, who know Utumisa Makalin?
Utumisa Makalin
So
went to that.
so he went to the same masters Makhaya, Malbonga Maketa. So we literally ran away from Presby because we were like, I wouldn't want to go there because this is a rough dude. That's a rough paka. So we used to walk across the road. And the story Makhaya is talking about, we heard in primary school. Apparently, there's a guy who stole his shorts. So if you know anything about Dale or primary school or high school anyway, they used to write your name. You used to write your name on your laundry, right? That's like a tag because you send it to your laundry and it comes back to you. So there's a guy that took Makhaya's shorts, but this dude wore his shorts, and they were written in Koki pen with his whole name, the back of his shorts. So Makhaya, once he finds this dude, he's like, "Yo, man, yeah, but Makhaya, like at the back of your shorts. Why are you still wearing my shorts?" And this is like, I heard this story in primary school, mind you. And he like one meeting as well as let's put it that way. One meeting as well. And then in 1996 when I got to Dale, so I don't know if you understand the concept of being a new boy. So when you're a new boy at the time in a college, it was very tricky because like you were basically the skunk, whatever you want to call it, and you got bullied, to say. We used to have to go sing at the back of the tuck shop at every break as juniors or the standard sixes, sing the school songs and whatnot. And then matrix used to like throw everything at us. They should throw like a song, whatever they could find, water, drinks, whatever it is. Makhaya rescued us a couple of times. He used to come every day Swaz from the tree, right? Where he came. I used to beat up the matrix, and we were so happy when he came because he saved us. Because like we were getting bullied. It's like every time he came, we were like, "Yeah, thank God Makhaya is coming," because we know
guys save you from beatings.
The matrix literally used to run away. Like you could see them scatter. You're like, "Oh, thank God he's here," because we're tired of singing school songs and getting bullied. But that was the culture back then in the 90s.
Really, really fascinating, I guess, culture and a part of growing up. Cricket, I'm sure, would have taken center stage. Monde's obviously touched on the fact that, you used to look up to a guy like a Makhaya. Makhaya, you progressed pretty quickly after that. And, Monde, like you're saying, you were playing for Border at a pretty young age. Then you went to play for South Africa. I'm sure, no doubt, a massive dream of yours, especially from where you came from as a young man.
Yeah, most definitely is so. And then I think what helped me with all of that, is because when you get taken from the rural areas and then you sent to the white school, there are certain things that you have to follow them regarding of that, because you must remember this is a scholarship, So when you get told that the reason you came here is for you to play the game of cricket because they're saying Ndoba Noko, ikhona nje inhlanhlanyano nayo. Yabona. So it became one of those focus, that I need to fulfill this dream, of becoming a cricketer. Because as a youngster, uyakwazi ukuxelela into yoba, hey, ugood kule nto, you can make a living out of this. So the moment bathi kumu I can make a living out of cricket, then that's when all of that started. Being able to work extra harder because I know where I come from, the background, that you have one parent that is working at home. So you have 7 of you as a brothers and sisters. So if this can work, there's a lot of lives that you can save, even, from your home point of view, where you are able now to feed your family. So that was one of the greatest things that I am actually being motivated to do, as a young fellow and starting playing the game of cricket from a young level, and then I think what has changed all of that. I remember Kenya came to East London and play against Border before the World Cup. If there was So I was invited, to play for Border as an invitation, and playing against Kenya. So that's when I was picked up. That was 1995, and then Border straight away says, we need to nest this guy. This guy will definitely go further.
You obviously share, some really, really good, I guess, memories there that I guess, people like myself who've spent time with you, even I have not heard about that story, and you look at I guess the rise of Monde, if we backpedal a little bit, and you also think to yourself, as much as you would have seen guys like Monde, Dumisa, and Malibongwe coming through, where did you first see Zons, bowling? Did you see him at a young age playing cricket, or did you only see him at an old age?
So I think the development has played a massive role to us. Yes, I might not even seen Monde, at the early age, and even the time that the development was actually doing his rounds, going to the rural areas and then picking up us as kids, that they've seen them, but they have a potential, and then being given the scholarship. I used to hear about him, Meli and Dumisa. Yeah, but there's another 3 black guys that are at the junior school. Those guys are good. Dumisa is scoring runs. You have Meli and Monde are the fast bowlers, that they have in our schools, and then they came then to the college, and then we started playing together, and then I see more of them, and then practicing in the same nets, as they're doing their grade 8.
Every time people ask me about who my hero was growing up, I always say Alan Donald, right? Because and I started bowling fast, 1991, 92, a day when I was like 10, 11. I say Ellen Donald, but Makhaya was always my inspiration. Because I'd never seen a black person play at that level before. I knew about him, obviously, as we've spoken about him when he was in high school. But growing up, everyone always says, oh, Adam Donald was the fast guy. Yeah, sure, cool. And he was my hero. I was like, I want to bowl like that dude. But then when you see a black person for the first time in your life playing for South Africa and achieving those heights, that person is what you aspire to be, right? Like my inspiration. And the cool thing is that you meet the people that you aspire to be like. So I met him in high school, and then obviously our story goes on to Ep11 and then South Africa. So just seeing the fact that he could do what he did, coming from where we come from. And if you want to backpedal, we can always go back to his stories. Our stories are similar in our beginnings, but my story, Makhaya, takes a turn where I went to exile, and that's where my life changed. Living with my uncle who was Usti Tret. But had I not left Ilali, because I grew up in Lali, Makhaya, and I grew up Ep11. My first 8 years of my life, that's Ep11. I couldn't even speak a word of English. But and our stories are very similar to that point. But then my life changed because I had a family member who was a famous politician, so my life changed in that sense. So that's where I think we went different ways in terms of how to get to South Africa. But we've got very similar beginnings. I get Lali's as a guy. He started emptying, they call it built-in, and I always go back to that because I understand that it's two kids from the Eastern Cape, from the rural areas, who got to live out their dreams a little bit. Obviously, our story is a little bit different in terms of how far we went, but yeah, it's that he's an inspiration to me. He's always been one.
Yeah, Zonzo, I thought you were gonna shed a tear there for a moment. You know.
Yeah, am I being deep? Am I being deep?
No, you're not being deep. You're not being deep. I think it's. I
was getting worried.
Becky, I thought we were gonna have to bring out.
Crying, yeah?
I thought I was gonna have to bring it out.
Well, you were crying. I was crying,
I think Monde, your change of provinces. That's another thing that he actually made, that separation between the two of us. Because I remember when you came to Border as well, you know, we were so close. You know, you almost like you could say these guys are brothers, because the way Tina esi thandene ngayo and the way esi protectene ngayo regarding offer, where we are together, it's a tour, it's on the field. You know, we always, you want to be where I am. If I'm bowling, you want to be on mid-on or mid-off. You know, so those are kind of things that they really, really bring ring a bell at a later stage. That they didn't only knew from each other from the cricket field. It goes all the way back. You're talking about, you know, the villages. The moment you quite Monde usuke built in ungunyana katatu Steve Chwete or nephew or all of London. Because if we can all remember, Utatu Steve, he played a massive role, you know, when it comes to us as cricketers, especially when it comes to black cricketers. You know, I cannot even talk about the other sports because I don't know involvement, how much it was. But for Tina, he was talking about us all the time. Even if you make sure in the he must see me, regardless of what. I must go so sikesithethe ngento ze-cricket bakwenzeka ntoni na noma ihlome wena nawe noma ihlome always ifika nikhona. So yonke laa nto leyana yaba zimfundiso kum, nemfundiso yokuba xana ndinibona ndinganithathi njengabantwana aba-distance, uyakona, ndinithathe njengoba ndiyanazi sizi-brothers. So ubuhlobo bam nawe nefamily yakwa-Steve Chwete, you know, it goes all the way beyond inantsika izinto esinothi sizicinge thina sinabantwana.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, truly inspirational to hear you saying that, Makhaya, and you know, I guess that sense of togetherness. You know, it's something that, you know, we always, I guess, really look for amongst each other and as human beings in general, and more especially as black brothers. You know, it's to stay united and it's to stay together in a world that hasn't always been kind. You know, and I want us to take a break right there, because after the break, I want us to chat about, I guess, your war stories on the field of play. You know, two very proud moments that I want to highlight, and moments that no doubt would have shaped your careers, and I guess, you know, would have brought a lot of pride to you. So viewers, don't go anywhere. We've got something special coming for you just on the other side of this break.
What up, y'all? JB Doomin here, and you're listening to my main man on the FisMaz Show.
Welcome back, everyone. And it's been what a journey it's been. Let me rather say. My English is running away with me because I'm getting all excited about what's to come in the show. Makhaya Ntini Monde Zondeki, I guess, having a bit of nostalgia with regards to, I guess, the early parts of their careers when they met. But yeah, we're going to continue. This time we're going to be talking, I guess, a little bit more about the war stories, the stories on the field of play, because now Makhaya Ntini and Monde Zondeki have progressed from border to playing for South Africa. Makhaya through the door first, Monde followed, and then there was this historic tour of England. That's where we're gonna go. And I guess, I don't know, should I just hand it over to you guys? Makhaya Ntini, 10 wickets at Lords. Monde Zondeki, half century on debut. Which one comes first, and which one, I guess, should we get stuck into first? Makhaya, was it you who, I guess, made history first? Take us through it.
I think
That
my
was
one
Makhaya.
my one has been known and talked about over and over. So I think Monde's one, it's one of the things I think not a lot of people they've actually heard about it and then know about it because it's got a history behind, and then the history of trying to fight for positions and all kind of stuff because Monde is making a debut, and then I've been around for a while. I say, who's gonna bet where? That was one of the most interesting.
All right, no, that's fine. That's fine. I want to get stuck into.
No,
Look, I think the nice thing is that the nice thing is that we've got some time. So what we'll do, we'll start with Monde, and then I want to talk about the Makhaya Ntini because as much as we've heard your story, Makhaya, we haven't heard Monde watching on. So I want to catch that. So let's start. Let's start there. Monde, do you have a different suggestion?
Yeah, so I would say start with Makhaya. Well, I mean, Makhaya's moment is like one of the most. If we even think back about the picture when he was kissing the ground, the turf at Lords, that was the second test, right? Because we played our first test was at Birmingham in Warwickshire, which we both played for, by the way. We both played for Warwickshire. So that was our home ground, if you will. But before I played there, but anyway, I would say start off with that one because that one is like the most iconic picture, like one of the in South African sports history.
This is what we're gonna do. All right, so we're gonna start. We're gonna focus on Makhaya Ntini, but I'm not gonna start with him. I want to start with Monde Zondeki. Watching on, you've spoken about watching on in primary school, watching on in high school, watching on at border. Now you're both playing for South Africa, and you're watching on as a guy who inspired you as a young man, is doing his thing, and is making history at the home of cricket. Monde, come on, take it away.
So, do you want me to start off at exactly that day, or can I
No, you can build this up. You can build it up for us, Monde. Come on.
I can build it up. So we came off the World Cup. Makhaya will remember this. My debut game was 2002 against Sri Lanka. Fast forward to that. We have a bad World Cup. Everything's like in history. We know what happened. Anyway, so then I got into a bad car accident in 2003 where I messed up my shoulder. But at the time, our selector was Omar Henry, was the convener selector. So he says to me, he phones me, he says, yo, do you think you'll be ready to play by June, July? I'm like, yeah. And I lied, by the way. I didn't know if I was going to be ready, but I just said, yeah, I'll be ready. Just pick me, take me to the team. Anyway, I wasn't quite ready, but I still went to the tour, the test tour. I remember that at that time, I was born like really, really quickly. And my dream in my head was to play with Makhaya in our first test match. We played in the one-day game before, because as I said, I made a debut with him. So I was like, no, man, I really want to play. And then, because I never had, I can't remember, Makhaya, you played with Mfuneko, but you guys played only in South Africa together, right? I remember I read in the papers, there's never been two black guys that played together outside of South Africa together. That's what I was asking, just double checking. And I was thinking in England, it'd be so nice if I could play with Makhaya for the first time, two black kids from the same little, from the same town, outskirts of the same town. But Tommy Tolekide was also on that tour, but was a Kappa, so he wasn't really quite like us. And I remember taking 5 wickets in a warm-up game against Somerset, and I bowled like really fast. And I thought, surely I'm going to play in the first test in Birmingham. Like, yeah, I get to play with Makhaya. Then they picked Pretorius. No, and they left Shaw Willoughby. I'm like, oh, come on, Chief. I'm like, yo, man, what the hell? What's going on here? So I didn't play the first test. And I was really disappointed because I thought I deserved to play the first test. Anyway, I didn't play. Second test comes along, didn't play that one either. That's at Lords. Imagine playing at Lords on Makhaya, like in my head anyway. But I remember I'll never get the picture because I was a water boy, and I'm not quite sure if this is correct, but I do remember Port Adams took some of your catches. Like I think it took like 2 or 3 of your catches that match.
Yeah. That was Lords. Yeah.
Yeah, at Lords. And I think your 10th wicket was Porter slip or Port Adams took one of them. I just remember a lot of catches.
No, Port Adams was on short leg.
Yeah, he was a short leg.
The other one he caught
square leg as well. He was also a square leg. Yeah,
caught in a square leg.
But I was sitting up in the stands, obviously wearing my white coat because I was 12th man, 13th or whatever you want to call me. No, Tommy was there. We were the only 2 black dudes in the team at the time, besides you on the field, and we were like literally celebrating ourselves in many ways. Not that nobody else was celebrating, because everyone did, but I think for a moment we knew what it meant to us, and that's why I think like I felt like it would be so great if I was on the field. But anyway, yeah. So I remember like it was yesterday. Makhaya kissing the turf. I didn't bring the water on because I wasn't the one in charge at the time because I was off duty at the moment. I don't know. I think it was either Robert or Time who came on to bring water in every time you take a wicket. But a very proud moment, and yeah, I'll never forget that one because like it feels like it was yesterday. But it all like literally.
Yeah, and it's a moment that I guess will forever resonate with not only South African cricket fans, but cricket fans across the world. And again, Monde, I want you to build on that before I bring Makhaya in. You know, we're thinking 10 wickets at Lords, that iconic picture when Makhaya kisses the turf. You know, what's running through your head? You know, you're obviously disappointed you're not playing, but here's a guy who comes from, I guess, the same part of the world as you, and that moment happens. I mean, what's going on in your head?
Yeah, so if you ask me at the day, I could tell you, but right now I can't remember. But I remember this much. There's like Makhaya knows this. There's like a board at Lords where they write all the names of the guys who scored hundreds and the guys who are taking 5 wickets. And correct me if I'm wrong, Makhaya. I think just after the 10 wickets, because they literally do it just after you take your wickets, right? Like they don't wait a day later. They do it like literally after the game. And I forget someone scored 100 like in 2008. But I remember in 2003, I think immediately after the 10 wickets Makhaya took, there were these dudes that were like literally like itching it on, like putting on, this is it. And here's the other thing. Makhaya doesn't drink, right? At all. That day, I think he drank had 1 sip of the champagne they gave us and he got drunk. Like I've never seen him before, like laughing and rolling around. I've never seen him do that. He doesn't drink at all. So I think that day he took like a sip of champagne. It's like when I say a sip, I mean a sip.
And he was
like
gone.
Super fit anyway. He was done. That's like, yeah. So that was like a great moment in our changing room in general, but that was like a special day for us.
Makhaya, again, you've mentioned the fact that the story's been asked, so many times. But again, I guess I want to move it away from, I guess, the actual incidents, because I mean, everyone knows what happened. It was a moment in history that we'll all remember, that picture of you kissing the turf, I think is one of the great sporting pictures in South African history. Let's speak about, I guess, having a guy like Monde looking on, having other South Africans looking on, other Black South Africans looking on. Did that run into your mind in terms of what have I done here?
Not really. I think they all yonke le nto lena. If you remember, my first tour was in England. Myself and Monando Haywood as a junior was in England. So walking in a changing room like Lords, where you see all the names and your heroes are there, and then you look around and then this is your first time, seeing something like that. Because in South Africa, we never had, the boards that all your accolades would be written all over the changing room. So for me, it was the first time seeing that, as an international touring team. So when I look at all of those names that are there, and then I saw Marco Marshall's name, and then I said to Corey Fanzel, if I get an opportunity to come back and play for South Africa or tour in England, I want to leave my name here. And then nobody ever actually ever thought of that, at that time, because you remember that you going in every single country every 4 years. Né? So now to wait for 4 years to go back to England and play, it's a long wait. So the whole concept of the duration of preparing, the years going by, and then I'm getting experience myself, regarding of knowing how to bowl, because we had a long lineup, the likes of Alan Donald, Sean Pollock, Brian McMillan, Lance Klusner, Callis, Steve Alworthy. You've got the spinners, Pat Simcox, you've got, Nicky Boyer, you've got Paul Adams. So the line was too long. And then you've got the likes of Monando Haywood, which is it's the two of us, which is our juniors, among those big guns that they've been playing for South Africa for so long. So waiting for 4 years, it was an absolutely long wait. So when I got that opportunity and representing South Africa 4 years later, and actually being selected, to play at Lords. So those kind of memories, they did kick back, that I've waited for 4 years for this opportunity. So when that rise, and I had to take it with both hands. And then good thing within all of that, Devil Pretorius got injured. Then I knew that the load now is all in our shoulders. I had to put my hand up, at the same time, that was one of the things that actually pushed me even more, because you've got 5 bowlers. If 5 of us take 2 wickets, the 10 is finished. So when Pretorius got injured, and then my thinking was saying that if anyone else does not take more than 2 wickets, I have to take his 4. So that includes then to get to the 10 far that I'm looking forward to. So when I took my first 5 far, it was so exciting in a way that I knew now that I'm left with 5 out of the next 10. So for me to get my 10 far. So as I walked in the changing room, there's this room attendant. That guy is so quick. The moment I get upstairs, he's already written my name. And then not just written the name only, he has a point, actually he's got a line that is pointing on the 10 far. And then I walked in, my lunch is there. 2 slices of brown toast, buttered and put sugar on top, and a pint of milk. And then it says, here's your lunch.
It's an interesting diet, that Makhaya. It's an interesting diet, Monde.
2 slices of brown toast.
Makhaya has become a vegetarian, so I don't
with sugar on top. So when I sat down, this guy says, look up here. And then I looked, my name is already written. And then he says, second innings, I want to put it on the other side. You see, so Sana unezo chefu as motivator. So you are bound to be energized again. So that's how all of that, created the whole hyper and energy, to be able to do things that nobody ever thought that could happen, especially when it comes to the bowlers at Lords, where South Africa had so much of a bowler that it can be able to pick up wickets anywhere in the world. So, becoming the one that it can take 10 far, it was a dream come true because I waited for 4 years.
Yeah, I'll just cut in and say this. I remember, so I've carried a bit of anger, not anger, but like not understanding why I didn't play. Like when you mentioned David Pretorius, David was on that tour in 2003.
Yeah.
And in my mind, because he played. I said to you, sure, will it be play the first test? Because for some reason, Eric Simon wanted a left arm swing bowler, and Shaw played one game and never played again for the rest of the tour.
Yeah.
I never understood why David was picked ahead of me. Like I didn't understand it. I was quicker.
And then you pick up 5-5 in a game before.
I pick up 5-5 in the
well.
warm-up game. My ball quicker. Like I don't. Yeah. Anyway, that's another story for another thing. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I was not happy at all. And I'm not a person that expresses the emotions in general. But I wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that because remember when you guys were told that you can never play until I'm not around? That's the only time you'll be playing.
Yeah, I know, Mickey.
So that could come.
Now I'm putting on names. So I'm putting on names now, but that was Mickey Arthur talking.
You see.
Maybe I shouldn't have said Mickey Arthur, but that was years later. That was afterwards, so it wasn't that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of
probably. I'm sure. I playing one coach washiwa ngumlomo ke na.
Hey, who knows?
White cars, secret.
That's like a social justice issue later that we'll talk about, and you mean it, but right now it's fine.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, so I mean, we've obviously touched on 10 wickets at Lords. I mean, I think that there's not enough words to describe that particular moment. And Monde, your particular war story for today's episode, I wanted to touch on that half century. You're known for your bowling. Everyone knows how rapid you were, especially when you were younger. But you come in and you get a half century. Every time I'm on commentary with Monde, I always tell him, I'll make fun of him and I'll say, no, but I can't really ask you about batting. And Monde will be very quick and he's like, I've got a half century. So Monde.
For South Africa.
For South Africa,
That's not even true. You're lying.
I've said it before, and you told me like, hey, I've got a half century. I'm like, okay, sorry.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I don't like talking about that story because it's like the gift and the curse to me personally, because it was a 50th grade, but I got injured in the same game. It was my debut. Like I literally wanted to show the world what I could do with the ball in my hand. Because as I said, at the time, I was going like really quickly. But I never got to do that on my debut game. But it was great that I could contribute to our win on your debut. Because like, you always feel bad when you get injured as a bowler. Because you're letting your bowling group down as a group. Like we as fast bowlers, as a bowling group, you always have this thing. But we're gonna, because you can only win with taking 20 wickets. 20 wickets, sorry. You can't win without taking 20 wickets. It's impossible. It's a draw, it's nothing. And every time, and this was like part of my career. That's why my career ended early, because I was always injured. But every time you got injured, you always felt bad because you felt like you weren't contributing to the success of the team, number one. And number two, you were letting your fellow fast bowlers down. And that's what happened to me that day. I bowled I think I bowled 1.5 overs or 2 overs, and then that was me. And I scored 50. Great, because I contributed to the success of the team. But more than anything, I wanted to show the world that I could do with the ball in my hand. And the biggest stage you can do it at is in England during that time. Because or Australia, but I think, or in India now, of course now. But at the time, England was the place to do it, and I didn't get the chance, and I was internally pissed off, but externally I was happy that I could contribute to the winning of the team because I got 50. Unexpected. Funny thing is, Makhaya, like, I think Makhaya is still his highest score is still that day, by the way. He like 34 or something.
Yeah, but I was looking good. I was looking so good. I was getting out LBW ball going down leg. Man, I was looking so good. You know, I wanted to make sure.
I can't remember how you went down. What did you say?
Yeah, man.
So I said, do you know the one thing I remember of that game?
Oh,
Andrew Hall was a 99. My man, Andrew Hall was a 99. And second,
yes, Andrew was a 99.
Andrew Hall was a 99 not out. Diva Petrus got bowled out. Andrew Hall was a 99. I'm like, I felt so bad for him, Jim. Like, you on the other end, you even faced, like, you witnessed just one ball left, got pulled out for 99. Like, it was sad, but yeah, we won the test match. But
yeah. I remember, Spizo. I remember after he got out to zones, they asked him, why didn't you take your helmet off? He said, I didn't know what to do. Should I raise my bat or take my helmet off?
Yeah,
I could make
so if you actually didn't know what to do, because like if you watch when I got to 50, I literally got to 50 like a couple of overs before the end of the day, end of play.
Yeah.
And I remember like I just got to 50, so Gary Kirsten comes out to me and like tries it. We didn't even hug, like I think we shook hands. Then I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like I was like, the first time I ever do this. So like I raised my bat like a little bit. Yeah, for like 2 seconds I raised my bat and like I don't know what I'm doing. I just keep it moving. So I didn't know what to do. This is our team. Like I've never been in that position.
And then you were fine for that as well at the end of play.
Yeah, but like I don't know what to do. There was like 50,000. There was like 20,000 people at the stadium, and I didn't know what to do. Like I just rage, half rage, and I went back to back. Like even when I like, took 5 wickets even when I took 5 wickets, I remember against Zimbabwe, I didn't know what to do. Like they were like telling me, put the ball up. I'm like, I don't know what to do, Chief. I've never been a celebrator. And like because of my personality, I'm very like
you were chill.
I'm zoned out. Chill. So I didn't know what to do. When I took 6 wickets against Zimbabwe, and as I'm walking home, I remember an interview I did with Cass Naidi because she was at the time she was doing the interviews. I know we're vying off topic now. She asked me like, "What do you take from today, past your career?" I'm like, I don't know. I moved on, and the others, I don't know. But anyway.
You know, the irony is that when I was obviously planning this episode, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to speak about this half century, and it's going to be such a great, proud moment. And in a sad way, it's I guess like you're saying, it's like a reflection of how things went after that, with all the injuries, and no doubt that would have been a heavy burden to carry, mentally, physically, to have had to deal with that. I want you to touch on that, and Makhaya as his teammate, as his friend, I want you to then come in after him and just, I guess, from where you were sitting, the disappointment of not being able to see him reach the potential that he had.
Man, Sifiso, if you understand, when your dreams comes very, very short than you expected, I think South Africa will have had so much lineup. If I want to put it in the right manner. If you look how black cricketers, grew when it comes to cricket. It was myself. Then that was Ngam. That was Monde. That was, if you look at the likes of, trying to figure out, Garnet Kruger, all of those guys, they coming from the Eastern Cape. If I can put it in that manner. And then I looked at it and says, Monde started exactly the same way as Ngam. Very, very, aggressive. They were looking so good that, even myself, I needed to panic. If I don't perform, these guys, they can take my place any given day. That's how good they were, both of them. So within all of that, it breaks my heart in a very, hardly mannered, because if I can think back and say South Africa will have 3 black fast bowlers, and then imagine all 3 playing at the same time, myself, Ngam, and Monde, and then any one of us, when you got the ball in their hands, they will show you flame. In any country that we play against, those 2 guys, they could easily just destroy every single team because of their potential. Losing both of them and then still being left alone. And then I always ask myself, what did I do right so that I can be able to continue, being injury free? Why these 2 guys broke down? Yeah, but whereby South Africa now was looking very good regarding of the development, and then seeing both of them, pursuing their talent, the way that they were. Monde was one of those guys that you could say that if this guy, he can work hard regarding of his fitness, he could have gone very far. Probably both of us will have competed, to break the records of South Africa, So we will have, I would say, neck and neck, if I can put it in the right manner. Neck and neck regarding of who plays what, who plays tomorrow. If you're not fit, there's another black guy that is gonna take your place, which is either Monde or Ngam. So that's how good those guys were. That I can tell you.
Monde, reflecting on.
I can chime in. So
Yeah.
I can chime in quickly. Sorry, Fisa. Because now that I'm out of, I'm like getting into coaching and understanding how bowling works. Funeka and I had mixed actions, so our bodies, in terms of how we bowl, caused a lot of our injuries. One, and had it been fixed earlier, sadly it wasn't. But part of the reason why I got a lot of injuries because of mixed actions, because fitness was never an issue. Like I was always like number 1 in fitness when it came to SA cricket. So that was the main problem in terms of why our careers didn't go as far as it should have gone. And I hate talking about injuries because it still irks me to this day. Because Makhaya is right? But in many ways, I'm not sure if Cricket South Africa was ready to have like 3 black players in the same team at the same time back then. We're talking about 2002, 3 now. Like we're going back
2002.
18 years. Yeah. So
yeah.
Mfuneka was done by the time I joined. But had Mfuneka been fit, I remember growing up reading stories about when Mfuneka was coming up, they had to drop Makhaya Ellington. I was like, yo, how come they can't both play, Makhaya and Mfuneka? So they were already talking about one has to go between Ellington and Makhaya for Mfuneka. It didn't make sense to me at the time. And this is people writing this in the papers. So, and I'm like a kid, I was 18, 19, and I'm reading this. I'm like, those are guys I want to play with. Because Mfuneka was also one of the guys that you look up to, look after Makhaya. And if you look back at it, there's no ways, even if all 3 of us were fit, that would have happened. Because I remember in 2005, all I used to read about was, or used to see, or people talk about was Monde not staying, who's gonna, and I'm like, yo, man, I was here before Lwana. Why? Yeah. So, and if you, now we're going back and we're gonna do this whole. I don't want to do this whole like social justice black thing versus white, but they used to like talk about like say pathetic now when a white person's writing about it, and it used to piss me off. But anyway, part of the problem is back then, especially, they didn't foresee 3 black fast bowlers playing together because like to them it was just like there's too many. So in my head anyway, and it was always Makhaya versus Ngam, or then it became Monde versus Makhaya. Like, and it goes back to the story what I was telling you about. Oh, I've already said Mickey Arthur, so I might as well keep going. Vatikum, yo, I see you is taking after Makhaya. I'm like, yo, man, how come I can't play with him? Why I have to play after him? Like, it didn't make sense to me. So it's one of those things. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, and again, I don't want to dive into a sore point too much, but in summation, we've got 4 minutes left. You know, just in summation, Monde, from your side with regards to injuries, you know, from a mental point of view, you know, not being able to fulfill, I guess, the immense potential you had, having to retire early, you know, what kind of effect did that have on you as a young man, you know?
Yeah, I think it's more of a mental, like I still think about it to this day. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, it's something that you wrestle with mentally. I don't know how long it's gonna last in my head. I hope it goes away anytime soon. But every time I watch cricket, and the sad thing is, I actually work in the business, so I have to watch cricket. And then like I see someone who's like way less talented than me that play for South Africa. And I'm like, dude, I wish I just stayed fit. But so it's, and I don't say this a lot. I don't talk about it a lot to people. I keep it to myself. But it's a painful thing to think about and to reflect on. But it is what it is. It's my life, yo. So I'm trying to get through it. But yeah, not being able to fulfill your potential is the hardest things to like in your head that I go through. Like a lot of people say to me, "Yo, you play for South Africa? Well done." I'm like, dude, I played 6 test matches. I could have like played 100. And to me, I never like achieved anything I wanted to achieve. Some people might think it's an achievement to play 6 test matches or to be a black guy who played for your country, but I'm still pissed off at the fact that it only lost us for 6. And that's something I have to reflect on all the time. So yeah, it is tough mentally.
Yeah, no, look, you know, I sit here as a young man or a youngish man trying to, you know, reach my own goals, you know, and my own, you know, I guess to fulfill my destiny. And it's something that I can sympathize with a lot. I think Makhaya does the same as someone who shared the field with you. But yeah, I mean, I think these are the kind of stories we need to keep sharing amongst each other as South Africans, to make sure that, you know, everyone knows, you know, where we come from, the struggles we went through internally, the struggles we went through on the field of play, off the field of play. So I'm sure, you know, this will inspire a lot of people to work hard. There's a lot of young South Africans who will watch this. And yeah, gentlemen, I mean, to me, you know, to work alongside the both of you, to get to know you over the years has been nothing short of a privilege, you know, having been someone who was young, aspiring to be a cricketer myself. So again, I don't have a hat on right now, but I take my hat off to the both of you. Monde, you can do the same if you want.
I don't have hair like Makhaya. So.
Yeah, but thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Monde Zondeki still looks like he's 22. Makhaya Ntini, very pretty, but still legendary. Yeah, gentlemen, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And
great hair, bag.
And yeah, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having us. Yo. It was good to connect. I haven't spoken to Makhaya or you in a while, so it was cool to talk.
Yeah.
No, all good, gentlemen.
Thank you, Sifiso Kuse. Thank you, Papa.
Bye, Makhaya. Bye.
Sifiso Kuse.
I've given up. It's a wrap. Bye-bye.
I give up.